Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I'm, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about the recent passing of Bilderberg scumbag Sir Jacob Rothschild and why it is one of the best things that could ever happen to America and the world, pretty much. The only thing that would have been better had it been George Soros also passed today, and then potentially like all the Rockefellers and all the royal family make up the fourth family of Bilderberg, etc. There, dude. So, yeah, for those who didn't know, Jacob Rothschild, his family is pretty much the first family when it comes to the heads of Bilderberg, the secret group of people that meet every year to discuss basically overthrowing the world and destroying our lives and stuff like that. So, yeah, and apparently he passed it at the age of 87, and it's like, kind of makes me wonder though, right? Like, considering how many of these people over the years that have been talked about, that are Bilderberg families and stuff like that, are into like transhumanism and stuff like that, and knowing all the crazy, spirituality stuff that they're into, and like all the crazy like voodoo and hoodoo and fucking, dark arts and dark magic and stuff like that, like, would it really surprise me if it wasn't actually Jacob Rothschild that died today, and it was actually just some dude whose soul was swapped into Rothschild's body, and Jacob Rothschild's entity, etc., soul entity, whatever you call it at that point, is now in like some other dude is what it is now. That's still very much alive. Like, would that really surprise me? No, it wouldn't actually. Because again, I do very much believe that there is those capabilities of those things, dude. And if you're into like, demonic demon deals and stuff like that, it would make sense, honestly, which I very much believe that every Bilderberg family is, for that matter, dude, because it's exactly how a lot of them gain wealth, for that matter. Like they would do what they need to do with things, man, is what it is. And it's not just that, obviously, it's other reasons too, for that matter. I know that, remember years ago, there was a one of the Alex Jones documentaries that was discussing the origins of the Rothschilds family. And it was basically Jacob's, I think it was like great grandfather or something like that is what it was at the time. Or it might be like 6 or 7 greats, I'm not even sure at this point, honestly. But anyway, it was one of the, ancestors of Jacob Rothschild, what it was, though, who apparently, this was during the Napoleonic Wars, what it was, you had them have, it was kind of almost like a Game of Thrones episode, more or less, where you have like the dudes that have like all the spy kids and stuff like that walking around and like, doing spy shit or whatever the case before them. And it's like various, surveillance and stuff and like secret ops and shit, basically. It was kind of like that, honestly, where you had the Rothschild ancestors going around and having like their little network of people or whatever it was there who had gotten information early that obviously Napoleon had lost the war, is what it was. And then essentially what they were doing was the Rothschild's family was going around and spreading all these kind of rumors and stuff like that and all kinds of fucking, literally fake news is what it was. That Napoleon actually won the war. And the reason they did that, obviously, is because at the time, had Napoleon actually won the war, it would have made the currency of that time period in that country specifically, is what it was, basically go down in value of like to like basically like a 10th or a 20th or even a 50th of what it was, essentially. And if Napoleon loses the war, it obviously makes that currency both stay at what it was and potentially go higher than what it was actually before that. And so what they did was they were going around spreading all this false information, is what it was then, specifically to be like, oh yeah, Napoleon won the war, knowing that it was going to be like another week or two before, some carrier pigeon came with like an actual thing that's like, no, Napoleon actually loses the war, is what it is. And so because they had that early information, is what it was then, they used it to their advantage by basically devaluing the currency at the time in that country that they were in, and then sitting there and buying it up for pennies on the dollar into a new currency, is what it was. And the new currency was worth jack shit, by the way, because that was the one that would have taken over if Napoleon had won, is what it was. But because he hadn't won, it was the one that was worth like, a 10th or a 20th or a 50th or whatever, what it actually was, versus the Rothschild family that were paying off people in that currency and taking in the old good currency, is what it was, that they were devaluing by like a 10th, 20th, 50th, whatever it was there. And so, yeah, that's how the Rothschild family initially made their, I think it was essentially like first million back in those days. And then of course they, at that time, it was obviously, if you equate it to like current money is what it is, it was like several $billion, honestly, that they had in the bank then at that point. And then they basically leveraged that to create like all kinds of other shady shit over the years and do all kinds of other shady deals over the years and stuff like that in the decades that were to come. And then eventually, Jacob Rothschild, took over the head of the family is what it was here, like 40, 50 years ago, which is interesting because you ever look at the picture of Mr. Burns, it is Jacob Rothschild, dude, 100%. When you actually look up pictures of Jacob Rothschild and comparing him to Mr. Burns, it is like pretty much the same guy. So let me go ahead and just do a side by side here. So the dude on the left side, obviously, there is Jacob Rothschild, the guy who died here today. The other guy is Mr. Burns. And yeah, they look very much alike, dude. Yeah, it's based off Rothschild. Yeah, it's interesting, too, that the net worth of Rothschild was $500 trillion, supposedly. It's way more than that, dude. And what's very interesting to me, I've talked about this on several of the Honda chats over the last couple of years, too, for that matter, is when you actually look into all these wars for resources we've done over the years now since 9/11 and all these different Middle Eastern countries, every single one of the countries that we've invaded since 9/11, the U.S. military has, underneath the false gaze of like, oh yeah, terrorism or some bullshit like that's what it is there. None of these places, whether it be, Jordan or Syria or any of these countries like that, basically, Lebanon, any of those ones like that, none of these places had a Rothschild central bank in them before the United States military went in there under false pretenses, what it is. After they did, every single one of these Middle Eastern nations now has a Rothschild central bank, and now is what it is. So, yeah, this dude was creepily powerful. Like I said, and I've talked about this too, for that matter, where you have like the Bilderberg meeting and stuff like that, which I used to think it was basically everybody's in cahoots, basically. But I think what it really is, honestly, is there's like layers of cahoots, is what it is then. And essentially what you have is, and I'm going to see if I can try to, I'm actually going to go ahead and do a little quick drawing here, I think is what it'll be. Let me grab up my paint here, is what it is. And I'll start to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about here. So basically, we will go ahead and do this as a thing right now. So you have your blank canvas, and then you basically have, what is known as, let's see if I can find a pencil here, Bilderberg, Bilderberg. So basically Bilderberg, or the Bilderberg meeting, which is a yearly meeting these people have, these rich elitist people is what it is there. They will have their meeting. And the reason it was called the Bilderberg meeting is because it being like a secret cabal is what it was initially. The first place that was on record to actually host the place was called the Bilderberg Hotel, is what it was, and that's why it became known as Bilderberg, is what it is then. And you could look at these meetings every single year as he was on the guest list and stuff like that. And usually it's a lot of different people, whether it be, current sitting congressmen, current sitting senators, a president here and there, presidential candidates here and there. Hillary Clinton was at the meetings, Barack Obama was at the meetings, Joe Biden was at the meetings, Kamala Harris has been at the meetings. A couple people for Trump have been at the meetings. I don't think Trump himself has ever been there, but I know Mike Pompeo was. I know Jared Kushner was in the past. I think J.D. Vance was actually at one of these meetings with Peter Thiel, if I'm not mistaken. And it kind of made me wonder, because I was always thinking it was like, just this one giant, like my whole thing was essentially what I was always thinking. It was like, this one giant circle of just criminality, essentially, is what it would be. But then I realized more and more, it's not one giant circle, it's like several. So instead of it being like, like this big circle here, where they're all in cahoots with each other, whatever there, it's not really that. What it actually is, I'm going to go ahead and actually just erase that out because I'm going to make a bigger circle. What it is, what the fucking shit? That was the erase thing. What the hell? Is that not an eraser? It says eraser, but it's not erasing right there. That's weird. Strange. All right, well, let's go ahead and just, can we just go back on that then, maybe? Okay, so we'll make a better brush here than it is then. So yeah, so basically instead of it just being like one giant circle that everybody's part of, what you have is you have this outer circle that's a bigger circle, which would be, where you got your, your JD Vances and your Peter Thiels there and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and add JD's name. JD Vance. CE. And it's basically just him like hobnobbing with like random people. It's the same thing I think with Trump and some of these other people as well, for that matter, or like Trump's, the people he sends there, like your Pompeos and stuff like that. And then what you have after that, though, is you have this other smaller inner circle. And it's the inner circle there is where your Rothschild's family, your Rockefeller family, your royal family, Soros's family, etc., are all inside this little circle. And it might even be something too where it might be you got the outer circle, which is like the main like ballroom or something like that. You have like this inner circle that's like another meeting room off to the side or whatever the case be. And potentially there's also like another like even smaller inner circle to that kind of thing is what it would be. So basically what it would be is you'd have the outer circle that's basically just people like hobnobbing with each other and being like, oh yeah, like what do you have for me, like stock tip wise or whatever kind of thing or something like that. And then this inner circle is basically where you would have the Rothschilds or the Rockefellers or Soroses or whatever the case be. They would pull some political candidate in the room or whatever the case be and be like, okay, here's the deal. Like, this is what we want you to do for us if you get in office kind of thing or whatever the case be. And then potentially you would have them then all leave, Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Soroses, royal family, et cetera, there would all leave and go to another room that would be the smaller inner circle then. And then that's where they would actually plot for, the overthrowing of governments and, the whole Agenda 2030 and stuff like that's what it is then, et cetera there. And I believe truthfully, like that's exactly what we're seeing right now in many cases. And like I said, I would not be surprised in the least if also it was those kind of things like the He-Man Grove shit where it was them doing like, various rituals to owl gods and stuff like that. And yeah, like, do I really believe that, the essence of Jacob Rothschild is gone now? Do I believe his so-called soul is gone now? No, I don't, dude. I think 100%. Given that these people went to transhumanism and like ascending to like another plane of existence or something like that, if that'd be the case, I would not be the least bit surprised if you literally had this dude fucking swap his soul with some random person, and in the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, next couple of months, whatever it is there, you have like some random person now become like a figurehead or whatever the case be of like the Rothschild central banks or whatever the case be then. Or hell, it could even be something like knowing Jacob Rothschild too, because now he has other heirs and stuff like that's what it is there. Like kids, grandkids, great grandkids, etc. there. Like, would it really surprise me if he put his soul into like some like 19, 20-year-old grandchild or great grandchild for that matter, and had that person take over his body in like some fucking soul swap thing or whatever the case be, and that person died today is what it is then, instead of Jacob's ass? No, that would not surprise me at all, dude. I would not be surprised at all on that one. And it's a scary thought to think about, honestly, because then you get into like necromancy and stuff, and like, all kinds of various, like I said, like supernatural shit is what it is. Then I don't know if I really want to go down that road. Is what it is. The whole thing, it could just be he died legitimately though. But yeah, nothing. I would not be surprised by anything at this point, man. If he was still very much like in somebody else's, body or something like that. That'd be the case now. Or hell, it could be something like that movie. What was that movie called? Fallen, back in the day, where it was see if I can actually find the script for this movie. Actually, that was a great movie, by the way, and it's one of the movies that actually made me legitimately hate the guy who played Casey Jones for years of my life, Elias Koteas, Elias Coates. I think that's what the guy's name. But yeah, basically, for those that have never seen the movie Fallen, it was from 1998. It starred Denzel Washington as I believe, detective of some kind is what it is. And basically the plot line of this film is it's a supernatural thriller is what it says here. Let me go ahead and pull this up real quick then. Yeah, it's a supernatural thriller. So Denzel Washington plays a Philadelphia police detective who is investigating occult murders committed by an apparent copycat killer John Goodman, Donald Sutherland, et cetera, also starred in this movie, as well as did the guy that played Casey Jones. And that guy also then played in Chicago Fire, is what it was then. Or not Chicago Fire, Chicago PD is what it was then. And yeah, I hated that dude for years just because of this movie. Because of how good he did as a serial killer guy, and is what it was. Because he played a serial killer named Edgar Reese, is what it was. And basically, the beginning of the movie was, and spoiler alert, this movie's been out for like almost 30 years now, so fuck you if you haven't seen it. I'm just gonna give the plot away at this point, dude. Yeah, you basically have this dude get the gas chamber, and he's singing the song "Time Is on My Side," and then basically what happens is his soul is able to then go out and essentially take over other people's bodies and stuff like that, and commit copycat murders is what it is then, which is just him committing a murder spree again. Is what it is underneath different people's bodies and stuff like that. Is what it is then. And yeah, the whole time you have Denzel Washington's character out there trying to basically catch this killer. Is what it is. The problem is that this dude can jump into anybody, and he could even be like your next door neighbor or your fucking family member for that matter. Is what it is, dude. And that's what I'm saying. Like, would I really put it past? And the thing is, too, like Hollywood, a lot of times, they'll do movies like that, is what it is, here and there, to show us, like, hey, like they're giving us glimpses into what actually is occurring in real life, is what it is in a lot of cases there. So would I really put it past Jacob Rothschild, one of the most powerful men on earth, one of the biggest, most crooked-ass, corrupt pieces of shit on earth, would I really put it past this man to simply do some kind of soul-swapping shit with somebody else then? No, I wouldn't, man, at all. So, but yeah, I don't know. I would like to think the guy's dead, honestly, and if that be the case, I would definitely give a celebratory toast on that one, because fuck that guy. And the whole thing is, though, it's like, yeah, every single one of the Bilderberg families, dude, are a bunch of fucking scumbags. Like, they are the worst, most demonic, evil pieces of shit on this fucking earth right now, dude, is what it is. So, and they all should have been arrested decades ago, is what it is, too, for that matter, and had their assets freezed and seized, etc. But the only reason they're not is because, again, when you've set up these networks and you're basically doing the puppet master string pulling and stuff like that, dude, it's going to be all your little puppets like Biden or Macron or fucking Trudeau or whoever the hell the president of Mexico is right now, etc., etc. It's going to be all these people that you're basically putting in your little crony stooges and stuff like that, or the guy that stole the Brazilian race from Bolsonaro, like that fucking asshole. It's all these motherfuckers that are the ones who are, the cronies of the Bilderberg Group, is what it is then. Or like I said, it's various U.S. senators, U.S. congressmen like Mitch McConnell and fucking Chuck Schumer and everything else like that have been there over the decades. And obviously Maxine Waters has been in those group meetings at one point. Pelosi's been in them at one point there as well. And like I said, you can literally look up every single year they'll do. Usually it's overseas in like Switzerland or something like that is what it is, or something like that. Some of these meetings happen for the Bilderberg Group, but then there's also been a couple here in America over the last decade or so is what it is then. And yeah, it's some scary, scary shit, dude. And then you start seeing like, people like, ex-Colorado governor, John Hickenlooper show up to one of these things. And then, of course, what's he doing after that? Oh, he's running for president now, or whatever the case be. Or he's running for the U.S. Senate now, or something like that. And yeah, it's very disturbing shit, honestly, dude. And it really just goes back to the cronyism stuff, what it is then. And exactly why out-of-state money should not be allowed to come into state elections, even at the federal level, for that matter. Like, that would be one way to solve all this shit, dude. It's like, no, you cannot create super PACs out of state and have them fund some candidate from Ohio or some candidate from fucking, New York, wherever it is then, when you live in a totally different state than those things is what it is then, man. So, yeah, it's a bunch of shit, dude, entirely. But, of course, nobody will actually, get onto that is what it is. Nobody actually in power, that's what I mean, will actually, back that stuff, because then it would mean that they would actually not get any funding for future campaign runs and stuff like that. Or if they did, to be very little in state, then is what it would be then. That's why they won't back the stuff, because it would actually mean fixing a corrupt system, which they don't want to do is what it is then. So, anyway. But, yeah, I, for one, am happy that Jacob Rothschild is gone now. Like I said, his family is one of the worst families ever in history of this world. They really should all been marked out decades and decades ago, man. Back in Napoleonic War days and stuff like that. And yeah, it's basically what that one dude talks about in Game of Thrones, where he's talking about cutthroats and stuff like that. Where it's the dude who was Tyrion's buddy, that Braun or Brain, or whatever the hell his name was there, where he was discussing they were talking about something, and he was talking about like how, you know, the Lannisters got into the power they were, and they're like, oh yeah, it's because he was a bunch of cutthroats. And what he meant by that was they literally had people like him that were like these enforcer types and stuff like that would walk up to somebody who was really rich and powerful and literally just go and fucking cut their throat is what it was, dude. So, and yeah, from there it's like they're dead now, and you're just taking their wealth and stuff like that. What it is there, which in a lot of cases, unfortunately, is what George Soros did, you know, by his own admission there in that 60 Minutes interview decades ago. At least a decade or so ago, if not more than that. Now is when that interview happened. That's what it was there with 60 Minutes. But yeah, he sort of admitted he would, like, during the Nazi occupation of different countries then, that this son of a bitch, while faking to not be Jewish himself, was running around to random fucking houses and stuff like that as like a collaborator with the Nazi SS and stuff like that, Hitler's Guard and shit. And he was outing other Jewish people in these farms and stuff like that. And then as soon as they got taken off to the cattle cars to become, you know, part of the concentration camps to be eventually, you know, eradicated by, you know, gas chambers and stuff like that, this son of a bitch would walk in there to their houses, steal anything of value he could, including forge fucking deeds for that matter, to where their house was now in his fucking name, and their farmland was now in his name and stuff like that. And then he basically was amassing his wealth that way is what it was. He would steal their farmland. He would steal their wealth. He would steal anything and everything from these people that he just sent to their fucking deaths. And yeah, and people want to sit there and talk about George Soros not being a mass genocider, dude. Like, no, this guy is the worst motherfucker ever. And now what is he doing? He's like, oh, let me give a bunch of money to my obviously gay son, Alex Soros is what it is there, who's now having fucking Huma Abedin, you know, Hillary Clinton's bottom bitch, to be his fucking so-called girlfriend now, and it's nothing more than a fucking beard is what it is, dude. It's just disgusting shit all the way around, man, is what it is. And yeah, I personally have had it with these fucking people in general, dude. If it was up to me right now, I would say arrest every single one of them. There should be, honestly, international arrest warrants for all of them, dude. From Hillary Clinton to Huma Abedin to Alex Soros to George Soros to any of the Rothschild bloodline to any of the other Soros bloodline to any of the Rockefeller's bloodline to every single member of the royal family's bloodline that's an adult right now, and so forth and so on. And it's like, yeah, man, you know, it's just, and again, going back to the whole Game of Thrones references and stuff like that, you know, they said it correctly, man. If you're going to take somebody out, you got to yank them out root and stem. You can't leave one fucking person to live is what it is, dude. You can't leave one fucking person to continue on the fucking family fuckery is what it is then, man. Because if you do, what's going to happen? They're going to come back, and they're going to come back, and they're going to come back, and they're going to keep having generational shit is what it is there, man. So it's why you got to freeze all their assets. It's why you got to seize all their assets. It's why you got to put them all in fucking prison. Death penalty charges across the board is what it is right now. For various things, whether it be genocidal, you know, crimes against humanity kind of stuff is what it is there. Nuremberg style trial shit is what it is there, man. Or other things for that matter, where it's like various, you know, insider trading and stuff like that across the world, you know? Like any and all felonies should be on the table right now for these fucking people, dude. But that's the problem. When you have so many people in power right now, whether it be, you know, various three-letter agency heads or whether it be, you know, various congressmen, senators, et cetera, all being in their fucking pockets, like, none of these people are ever going to do that shit is what it is, dude, because they're all corrupt as fuck, too, for that matter. That's why they only be arrested as fucking accessories with these douchebags. So, anyway. But, yeah, that's pretty much it for today, though. I got some stuff I got to do right now here in the next hour or so I didn't want to make this one too long. I just want to come out here and basically talk about Rothschild's death is what it is there. And, yeah, fuck him and fuck Bilderberg entirely, dude, is what it is. And it's really as simple as that, honestly. I'll be back tomorrow, probably, most likely, for something else then. I'm not sure what yet. I might do another stream on my other channel, too, later on tonight is what it is then, because, well, we are finally getting our mid-season rewards for season 8 of Walking Dead Survivors game that I play. And I know I'm not going to get a ton of stuff, but I'm going to get some stuff, and then I'll be able to actually, if I can, stream the actual content from if the app basically goes through to my StreamYard and stuff like that, I can actually show what I'm doing then in a couple hours here, and then I'll basically be buying up, various things from this clan store is what it is then. Or not clan store, the season store for the overall reward stuff is what it is then, and then we'll be, finally having a new character is what it is then to come to us. And, all of our builds will now be a little bit cheaper is what it is then because of that character and so forth and so on. So I'll take a little bit more time off of our build and stuff like that then. So that should be cool. But anyway, yeah, like I said, though, Rothschilds are a bunch of fucking scum, dude. They're a bunch of fucking... What's fucked up, too, by the way, people don't know this either for that matter, is the royal family, Queen Elizabeth II, her as a small child, her fucking parents, etc., dude, were the ones that funded Hitler in Nazi Germany. And so did, for the same vein of things, the Rothschild family, I believe, also helped fund that fucking war and give Hitler all these millions of dollars and billions of dollars he would need to fucking, keep the Nazi SS going and stuff like that, dude. So, yeah. It's some real disgusting shit when you start looking at the Bilderberg group entirely, dude, and how truly fucking demonically evil these people really are, dude. And yeah, when you're funding a fucking dude who literally genocides like millions and millions of innocent people is what it is there, you need to fucking die, is what it is, like in the story, man. You need to be brought up on crimes and community charges immediately and no longer be alive on this earth, is what it is then. So, anyways. But, yeah, other than that, we will be back here at some point in the near future. Like I said, not sure exactly when, but it'll be at some point, though. And, yeah, Rothschild is gone now, and good for that, man. Good that he's gone now. That's all I gotta say about it, man. So, sadly to say, though, one person that did pass this week that probably should still be on this earth, though, is the guy who played Eric Green in Jericho, which I believe his thing was, Kenneth Mitchell was that guy's name. And I believe he was actually fighting, I think it was Lou Gehrig's disease, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that one, but he died on 2 days ago on the 24th. So I'm going to try to see if it'll... Oh, yeah, here we go. Yeah, they put it on USA Today here. Yeah, dies after battle with ALS. See, that was Lou Gehrig's disease that took his life. That's what it is. That's a terrible way to go, man. Especially at the age of 49. Like, it's only 10 years older than I am, man. Damn. Like, that's not really... I mean, that guy did a lot, honestly, man. This dude right here. Yeah, it's an actor who appeared in shows like Star Trek Discovery and Jericho has died of following a battle with ALS. He was 49 years old. Mitchell's death was confirmed Sunday. In a statement shared to his verified Instagram page, said, "With heavy hearts, we announced the passing of Kenneth Alexander Mitchell, beloved father, husband, brother, uncle, son, and dear friend," the post said. So Mitchell portrayed multiple characters in various shows from Star Trek Discovery to Jericho to even being in a Captain Marvel movie, etc. there. So apparently he played the father of Carol Danvers in that movie, I guess, in a flashback scene. That's interesting. Yeah, I think most of us remember him from Jericho, though, where he played brother Eric Green is what it is there, man. So, yeah, R.I.P. Eric Green, man, for real. Sad situation, man, all the way around, like I said. Fuck you and your fucking PS not letting me do stuff there, man. So, yeah, that is a sad one, honestly, dude. Yeah, 6 years ago, he was diagnosed with ALS then. Dude, I couldn't even imagine fighting that for 6 years and it finally takes your life, is what it is then. Jeez. Sad. I didn't realize he was a Canadian actor. That's interesting. Sure as shit didn't sound like it, honestly, dude. Yeah. Yep, Jericho, astronaut's wife, switched at birth. From 2017 to 2021, he played Klingon's Cal, something or other, as well as somebody else in this Star Trek Discovery. So beyond acting roles, Mitchell is remembered by those close to him as a hope seeker, daydreamer, dream believer, etc. He's survived by wife Susan and their 2 kids. So, oh shit! NCIS star David McCullum dies at 90. And you got some other dude that died at 41, man. Are these recent or are these like a couple years old, though? Okay, that one was from last year. So that was last year that guy died. What about the other dude there? Was that recent or was that from like right now? So I don't even recognize that guy. Oh, that was 2021. That guy died. Okay. Yeah, so I was like, damn, man, they got everybody going out now. But no, it's just a few though. Just Jacob Rothschild and then that dude that played Eric Green is what it was, Kenneth Mitchell. So, which I'm not sure if they would be 1 and 2 or 2 and 3. Then whoever the first one was is what it is there. So, not sure, man. But either way, it's you know, it's a somber day the other day for obviously the death of Kenneth Mitchell, but it honestly is a better day though for that piece of shit Jacob Rothschild dying today is what it is then, man. So anyway, that being said, it's been real, it's been fun, it's been interesting, it's been a roller coaster ride of emotions for sure, and I think only time will tell exactly when things go completely south in this nation and, you know, things start going, you know, tits up completely is what it is then. So I know there's some sick people out there that'll do like death polls and stuff like that when it comes to like, it's like an actual Deadpool where it's like, there'll be a bunch of names and stuff of people, like famous actors and like various other, you know, stars and stuff like that, or like, you know, Jacob Rothschild or Rockefellers or whatever the case be there. And they'll just be like, oh yeah, I got this person, that person, and that person's like a trifecta of death, basically. And it's pretty sick stuff, dude. But at the same time, it's kind of like, it would be kind of ironic though if it was like, if you actually did have Rothschild being the first of like multiple Bilderberg heads, you know, dropping out is what it is then. Like maybe Soros will be next, maybe fucking somebody from the royal family will be after that if that be the case or something, or even vice versa for that matter. So, you know, who knows, man. But it does kind of make me wonder, though, honestly, with the death of Jacob Rothschild today, though, like, is the Rothschild family still number one when it comes to Bilderberg? Because I know the fact there's 4 basically main Bilderberg families, and it was Rothschilds, Rockefellers, the Soroses, and the royal family. And I know when Queen Elizabeth died, I think the royal family dropped a notch down. I think Soros pulled a notch up then, because I want to say he was like 4th or something, and they were 3rd. And then with her passing, it was like vice versa there in that thing. And I know that I think Soros actually was 2nd at one point too, if I'm not mistaken, because yeah, I want to say actually it was the Rockefeller family that dropped to 4th, is what it was at one point, because their patriarch was the one who passed like 5-6 years ago, whatever it was there. And then you had them drop down to 4th because there was nobody in that family to really take up the mantle. Like there was some people that obviously like came together as like a whole or whatever the case be to like fill the void basically, but they couldn't really fill the power gap void entirely. So some of that power went to like the Soroses and then some went to the Rothschilds, some with the royal family, etc. there. And then you had them like drop down to 4th, and you had the royal family pull up to 3rd then, and I think Soros pulled up to 2nd at the time is what it was. And it kind of makes me wonder now with Jacob Rothschild going out, is George Soros now number 1 in the mix then? Is it his family that's actually on top of the mountaintop now? Or is it still the Rothschilds family that's still up there and Soros is a close second is what it is then? So I'm not sure, honestly, but I think what surprised me honestly on that one. So let's see here. 2 celebrity deaths affected me around that. Yeah, Robin Williams definitely hit me in the feels. One that hit me real bad a couple years ago was Jason David Frank, the original Green Ranger. I still don't believe that was suicide. I still believe his wife had him killed, honestly. And just from what's coming out now on his fan pages where she's taking him over and stuff like that, and is trying to do like some weird dedication stuff, like it definitely seems like she definitely had a murder is what it was then, dude. Because even the circumstances surrounding his death were weird, because it was supposed to be like them in a random hotel or whatever the case be, and then he had they were like having like a domestic dispute, basically, what it was there, because they were talking about divorcing each other or whatever. She was talking about divorcing him, something like that's what it was, for like infidelity or some bullshit. And I'm not sure if it was her being her fucking around, or it was him fucking around when he was out at cons and stuff like that, or what it was, or maybe both for that matter. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go down and buy some snacks or whatever from like because obviously at these different places you can go down to like I was at the when my sister and them came home from mom's wake here recently. We had gone to a Hilton, is what it was, and they had at the main check-in area there, you could buy like little bags of chips and stuff like that. That's what it was there. As like almost like a what do you call that now? Like a mini bar kind of thing. That's not in your room, obviously, is what it is. It's just in the main area there. And I think maybe that's what she was going to do in that place, is going down there to get some of that stuff. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go down there and buy some of this stuff, whatever the case be." And she was gone for like 10 minutes, and then all of a sudden he's supposedly like, during that time, they want to claim that Jason David Frank figured out like there was some fucking like string thing along the wall or whatever the case be, yanked that down, fucking tied a noose up around his neck, and then hung himself from the fucking ceiling, basically. All in the time span of like 5 to 10 minutes that it is there. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't buy that shit, dude, at all. I think what's more likely is that you had, 2-3 guys go up in there after the fact when you left the fucking room, and they killed his ass with like a Rottweiler or something else for that matter. And then they staged his fucking death look like a suicide, is what it was then, which makes a lot more sense, especially when JDF himself, in one of his last posts, it might have been actually his last video post, actually, he was actually talking about doing stuff in the future. So it's like, if you're talking about doing stuff 6, 8 months, a year from now, why the fuck would you have taken your own life? It makes no sense at all, man. And yeah, I get depression and all that shit gets to you quick and stuff like that, dude, because I know for a fact it's gotten me a few times, honestly. But at the same time, it's like, dude, like, no, like, I just don't buy it. I just do not buy it at all. And even the circumstances of the death just seems suspicious as fuck is what it is, dude. So I will never buy the fucking official narrative of the original Green Ranger's death is what it is there. So, but yeah, I'd say that one affected me quite a bit now. And then obviously Robin Williams was another one. I'm thinking who else went out here recently that I was thinking of that I didn't realize was still around, but I thought that because there was one here that I thought was already dead and they had died like the other day is what it was then, or not the other day, but like, a few months back now is what it was before mom passed and stuff. Because she was even sitting there with us at one point. Now she was like, I thought that guy was already dead. And I'm like, me too. And like, we just sort of start laughing and we're like, I guess he is now. So, yeah. But I'm trying to think now. There's a couple. Kurt Cobain was a big one for my brother, actually, back in the day. Like, his suicide really affected my brother, honestly, because my brother was about 14, give or take, when Cobain went out then. So, yeah, like him and his generation, there was so many of those kids that were just so somber over Cobain's, 27 clubbing then. And, yeah, there's a few that have affected me over the years, though. Like I said, I think Robin Williams was one of the bigger ones. Jason David Frank was probably the biggest one, honestly, most recently. Stan Lee was another one, even though I know that guy was pretty close to the end. Like, when I finally heard he passed, it was a sad day, honestly, for me. Because, I grew up reading comics is what it was as a kid and a teenager and stuff like that is what it was, man. And, I might not have read a bunch of Stan Lee stuff at the time, but, like, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got those, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010 comics is what it is then. Because Stan created all that stuff back in the day. Hell, we would have the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, or anything like that now if it wasn't for Stan Lee. So, he created so many of the better ones, dude. It's like the entire team of the Fantastic Four, most of the X-Men were created by Stan Lee. At least the initial ones, anyway. I'm trying to think what else was a big... I don't know if I'd say, like, it wasn't really a single death, but it's, like, defining moments in history. Because, obviously, with Mom's, it was, her generation was the JFK assassination. Whereas, for me, my generation was 9/11. So, and I think that was a big, Like it wasn't like one single death out of that. It was just like the whole event itself. It was emotionally draining and stuff, And I think the problem is there's generations now that are out here currently, whether it be Gen Z, Gen Alpha, etc. There, dude, that haven't really had that kind of a moment in this country, like whether it be a JFK assassination or a 9/11 kind of moment, whatever the case be. And I think that's, in some ways, it's good that they haven't, but in other ways, it's like the fact they haven't, they can't emotionally connect with you on that level. Then is what the problem is, because they were either too young to remember the stuff, or it was they were just not even born at the time then. So, just a sad situation all the way around. But anyway, I'm trying to think now, because there's been a couple that were like, I'm trying to remember if any of them were like by somebody killing them or not. So it was like them going out early, like what's referenced here with the John Lennon thing's what it is. And then that's way before my time, obviously. But yeah, it's like, I'm trying to think if there's one like that for me, honestly, besides Jason David Frank, obviously. And I can't really, I can't really think of any offhand right now is the problem. So that is an issue with myself right now. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, it's a whole thing, man. But I do find it interesting, though, that the murder of John Lennon, though, is what pretty much brought on a lot of gun control in this country at the time, because you had his assassin use. Actually, I think it was that, and I believe it was that. I want to say Sirhan. Sirhan was the guy that did supposedly RFK, and it was because of that they were using like those little teeny pocket pistols and stuff like that. That you then had the whole like Gun Control Act of '68 come out, and it was like a whole deal there from that, where it's like, oh yeah, you can't import these little teeny ass like basically mouse guns anymore and stuff. So it's kind of fucked up, man. That was a big one for Mom too. Was the death of Elvis, because that was one of her favorite singers actually back in the day. I remember, actually, that's one thing I do remember about her was that would come out every so often, and she would be having the radio on with like one of her CDs in it that was like an Elvis best hits thing or whatever the case be. And I was like, "What are you listening to?" And she's like, "Oh, it's a bunch of Elvis songs." And they weren't bad, but it's definitely like her generation of music, not mine. So, but yeah, I do remember that, and it's kind of making me a little bit emotional right now. So it's been a couple weeks since I had a good cry. Not really want to do one now, obviously, but yeah, it's just, I'm hoping in a couple weeks when my brother and sister come up, then the three of us can maybe go over and see the gravesite for the first time together or something, maybe. Because I still haven't been over there at all to see Mom and Dad together now. So I've been kind of awaiting, obviously, because, I don't really want to emotionally drain too much is what it is then. So, but anyway, yeah, I do. I so miss her, dude. And it's so, just pisses me off the way she went out, man. Because she should still be with us, what it is. And hell, she would be asleep in her chair with her probably right now if I was sitting here doing this. And unfortunately, that's not to be the case ever again. And it's, it's a sad situation all the way around. And yeah, it's just over a month now since she passed. About 5 weeks, give or take, I believe is what it is now. And have to sell this place at some point because I can't afford the upkeep, obviously, on it, and or to pay off the mortgage or anything else like that's what it is. So, hopefully we can get it sold before the end of the year here, and I can just, get my portion of the fucking inheritance then from the payout then, and find a new place to live. That's what it is at that time. And as I was talking to the guys last night before Honda's chat, I said, if I could figure out a way to do debt consolidation for my college loan debt right now, I could basically pay that off entirely, hopefully, and still have quite a bit of money left after, if that be the case. And then I would be back to zero at least then from that. And I could at least, obviously I would probably acquire new debt over the time or whatever the case, but at the same time, it's like at least I would have no old debt is what it is then, you know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, yeah, thankfully for me, it's just legitimately, or actually, I'm trying to think now which way would be the better way to go over to her gravesite now. I guess technically it would be down that way. It'd be like drive down the road here, and then it's like the road up there, and then it would be. I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, it would be the road. Yeah, we would drive. Or wait, now is that right? No, that's not right. I was thinking we could take this road here. No. It would be we would drive down that road, take the road over on the other side into the other town there, and then it would be you just go down that road all the way pretty much, and then at the essentially like uh, stop sign there, you then would hang a left turn then, and it would come back down around, and it's about maybe I don't know, like a 3 to 5 minute drive from there is what it is then, and then we can go to the graveyard what we then. So it's pretty close. It's pretty close, but still, if I was to walk there, it'd be like probably like a 7 mile walk or more one way, and I'm not going to do that with my bum knee and shit. So plus, I don't think I think if I actually got there, like I'd probably keel over on the fucking grave, honestly, just from being like so out of breath and shit. But yeah, I'm not so sure that I wouldn't then if I was still there, if I wasn't having like a stroke or a heart attack at the time, whatever the case be, if I wouldn't just like have just an emotional breakdown and stuff like that, and just be sitting there for hours then. And they'd have to come and be like, "Bro, you got to leave now," or whatever the case be. And I'm like, "Well, I'm not. I can't walk home, dude." So, yeah. But anyway, but yeah, I figure honestly, if my siblings were here with us and stuff like that, or I should say here with me is what it is then. Like the three of us going, we could each have our own, emotional goodbye is what it is to mom then at the gravesite, and then go from there basically and do what we need to do then. So, and then I'll be in a few weeks then. So hopefully that'll be a nice weekend. We can do that then, maybe, and because I would like to visit the gravesite honestly and see how close it is to actually having like grass seed growing over it now is what it is then versus obviously it had to be dug up and it would be just a bunch of dirt pile there for a while then if that be the case then. So like if it's still just a giant dirt pile or if it's just like actually like grass growing over it by now is what it is then because there's been a lot of rain lately too for that matter. So but anyway, but yeah, that being said though, I'm gonna go though because I do have some stuff I got to do here in the next hour or so. That is vitally important in this next hour. So, anyway, yeah. Other than that, though, like I said, Jacob Rothschild is pretty much gone as far as we're aware. Minus any weird demonic fuckery is what it is there. And good. Fuck him. Fuck him. Fuck Bilderberg. Fuck globalists in general. May they all rot in hell because that's exactly where those fuckers belong. Is what it is, dude. And that's as simple as that, really. Have a good one, y'all. I will be back, like I said, later on, probably sometime tomorrow, maybe a couple hours from now, actually, even for that matter, on the Willis Energy channel, where we'll be doing some gaming stuff. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the day. Hope you all enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all in the next one. Later.